today we're going to fit a rear bar to a Y62 Patrol. These are the same the whole way through from Series 1 to Series 5. A couple of little differences. Series 5 all have the blind spot, which is the large sensor in here. A TIL in a 1 to 4 will also have it. You're going to make sure that you've opted for the right variation in our bar that'll have the panel for that if it's an early one. Also the sensors, if it's a Series 5, will be these. They're the same as a Series 4, but they're glued in, so we'll supply you with a new housing. If it's a Series 4, they'll go straight back in, and 1, 2, 3 are the smaller sensor, which they'll go straight back in as well without any modification. So to get started, small little trim off in here. It just clips from the inside out. You've got 2 bolts in your tail light goes sideways, so that the clips go that way, not backwards. Little clip here, screw here. Once you've got all that out, put your tail lights aside. We unclip the top panel. Be very careful when you do this. These little clips will normally spring up in the roof or fall on your floor. So you normally put your hand under that, unclip the panel and catch it, and make sure you keep an eye out for them because they're very easy to lose. The plugs are trying to get access to are these two. If you're doing a camera kit, we're going to use this one, you'll see that a bit later, and reverse pickup will be that second pin in and that wire just there. From there, we're going to move around to the wheel arch. We're going to take all the screws out the mud flap. There's also a coarse threaded 10mm socket, 6mm thread. He's hidden up in here. So you get him. Now if the car's standard or got a tow bar, depending on what combination, we'll have a few little screws or bolts along the bottom, just get everything removed. Then these will start to clip out from there. You need to have the help of a friend because the parking sensor loom plug is here, so you need to have 2 of yous hold it, or one hold it and one unclip the plug. So we'll do that now. All off at the bottom. From there, we need to strip the rail of whatever's on there. If it's stock standard, it'll have a couple of toe points. If it's got a tow bar, obviously we need to get rid of that. Just completely clean, tyre out, brackets off, styrofoam gone, so we've got nothing left, and then we'll move on to the rear bar. This car in particular is not getting a camera kit, but I'll run through where we route it. So all the camera kits have got a double adapter type scenario, so male female plug. So you start, it's this plug here, you would unplug him, do your double adapter. We're going to route it along here, down behind this trim. Now you can go out the bottom, most cars have got drawers, so it's nearly impossible. I like to use this grommet, which you can pull him out, you can actually unplug him, put him back inside, so you've got a really big hole because the plug's quite large to get through. Get your camera kit through and then plug these back together and they'll share the hole, and you trim that grommet slightly so that you can have your camera kit and this all together coming through and it's insulated. Then we run it down here, just leave it loose. Once you, the camera kit comes in 2 sections, so it's that section of loom with a plug here, and then the section that will be on your jerry can box. So we leave that, and then when you're completely done, you'll run your wire up your jerry can box under the bumper and then plug it into there. But at this stage, you would route that section of the camera kit and then just leave it for a bit later. On your jerry box, you can do it before you fit it, or on the car, whatever's easier for you. So in the kit with the camera, we'll have P-clips. We like to rivet them along here, even spacings. So it'll run along the back. Now, we do multiple different camera brackets. We do a folded one, which is generally a jerry box combination, or if it's just twin wheel, we do a flat one. So if you had a flat one, this wouldn't have the fold. You drill and tap 2 holes on the back and put him there. Generally with a wheel jerry, we like to drill them there. Now, everyone has a different preference to the view. The further back you come, the more obscured by the wheel and the jerry it will be. However, you'll get a better view of the tow bar. You can aim this more up or down, it's up to you, you can have a play with it. We generally put them, they're made to go about there, which is the nice spot. And that gives your 360 view will work pretty much unaltered. and you can normally just see your tow ball, but again, it depends on the hitch you run, combination of trailer, like lots of variables, but that is the most common spot. So we drill 2 bolts, which are in the kit, but I recommend putting some tape on it, checking you're happy with the view, or getting someone to hold it. Try a couple of spots, but that is where they're intended to go. Right, from there you have to retrieve your camera out of the door. If it's a Series 1, the camera kit will come with a replacement camera. All the later ones on, you reuse your camera out the door. Now the camera is in this trim. Oh, come back to me. The camera is in here. It will do your head in. If you leave that plug unplugged, the door will be deactivated. You can move it up and down to your liking. And then quite often though, the door won't work when you plug it back in. Don't stress, disconnect your battery, wait a minute, reconnect it. It'll reset the door and everything will be good again. That's a TIL only thing with electric tailgate. Now, to get this off, this pulls down. It's quite tricky, comes out. 1, 2, 3, 4 clips. This one's the same, you pull down and out, and then we work your way around. You've got to unclip this black section, and that'll clip off. Then on the inside of that large chrome trim, there is a stud there, which is an 8mm socket. You undo the studs, clip it off from the outside. 2 Phillips head screws, take the camera out, unplug him, there's a tiny little lead on the camera, and then put it all back on. So your trim will snap back on, bolt nuts inside, plate cover, trim, they're all slightly different from model to model as in the combination, but they're all 4 clips and a handle. It's all much the same. Once you've got your camera out, that metal bracket I was holding, it will screw into him, and the little loom that's on it with the factory plug will plug into our camera kit. It's very straightforward. And we'll continue on. So we're all stripped and all ready to go. We're pretty much ready to put the bar in the car. These little bits on the bottom of here, they can rub on the bar. They just clear, but they can quite often cause a rattle, so we just trim the very bottom little section off on both sides and then give it a paint. And now we're ready to put the rear bar on. So now that we've got the car all ready, we're just going to prepare the bar to go on the car. So I'll run through the wiring in a sec, but we're going to need all the sensors. As I said before, we don't need the housings, so you can just bend them little clips out the way. We're not going to reuse them. And we want that loom like that. Now, one thing to be very careful of, these little rubber insulators are very easy to lose. Quite often they stay in the sensor, so just make sure you've got them all. The other thing we're going to do is we want this plug, obviously will be up behind the bumper when the bar's back on. We want to be able to have it accessible. So we're going to unclip him. We're going to delete this little clip here carefully, and we're going to just lose a little bit of this. You can just untape it if you're a bit nervy. Like that, so that we're all exposed. And then we're going to cut this little bit of tape. Again, just very gently. All right, and then we're going to retape that like that. We know it's okay, nice around the back of here. Retape him up, and then that way you've got plenty of length. Nothing will be tight when we refit the bar. Obviously we've got to tape that up, so we'll do that now. So, and the back. Looking good. It's just going to make that so much easier later on, and that's all nice and neat and not sitting under tension. Now that we've got all the loom out of the bumper, we will have given you new genuine Nissan sensor housings. So we're going to clip all them in from the front, and then we're going to tip the bar up on its face on some plastic or carpet or whatever you've got. And we're going to route this through the back as we've done here. Negotiate them all down in and clip them home. One thing to note, sometimes they don't clip in very well. You can give these a little bit of a squeeze. You want to hear the clip so that they clip in and they're all the way home, and just check that they're nice and steady. And then as far as wiring goes, obviously we're going to fit the tail lights, fit the reverse lights. The tail lights do separate. These tail lights now, a lot of people struggle with these. When you get them out the packet, they got a little tab in here, screwdriver, push with your thumb there, and they come apart. Then that pop rivets into our housing, then you feed your wires through and obviously put them back in as we have here. So yeah, once you've in, you'll separate the tail light. They pop rivet in from the front. So if you look there, they're going from the front, not from the back in, which is a common thing that people have a mistake with. Right, so lights in, and then we link everything together. Alright, so colour for colour. So standard, like every trailer plug ever, yellow's indicator, white's earth, red's brake, brown is tail. So we're going to extend them along. We like to use the earth from the reverse light in with the white as well. Continue through. We've got these little grooves in the top of the bar to route it through so you don't have to zip tie it. So exactly how Des has done here, nice and neat, coming along. All the way through. Again, splice your other reverse light in. Tape your other tail light in. All colour for colour. And then what you should come out with, we use 5-core and then some dual core for reverse, because reverse is going to go off to a different point. So this will be all of our tail lights linked together, and this will be our reverse combination, and they're separate. So when this goes on the car, this will actually get shortened right up and get tapped into the genuine trailer plug loom. It must be a genuine trailer plug loom. Anything else will give you issues, will give you lights on the dash. Genuine trailer plug looms are the only one to run. They're very easy to fit. I'll show you where they plug in a second. So yeah, you're going to splice that in to your trailer plug loom. This one, we're going to run up into that roof plug I mentioned at the start. So same deal through the tail light grommet, up into the roof and into the second pin in from the left-hand side bottom row on the left-hand plug. I pointed at it at the start. We're going to get reverse pickup from there. Bar that, this now is ready to go. Obviously the sensor loom, we're going to, once we're all done, you can cut your clips off and you can zip tie that to that. So everything will lay in like that, super neat. Nothing's going to get pinched here, and it's all nice and free. Alright, so we've got all our bolts in loose. We've got our M8s in the side. We've got our three 12mm fines in the bottom. And if you have a look under here still, we run a big and a small washer because it's got a large slot just to make sure it's nice and covered. And then we've got our 4 up in the middle. You do have a bit of play with them in, so you normally get it pushed all the way home. I like to nip these up, not tight, but so the bar's all the way forward, and then do it up from the bottom. And yeah, rattle it all up and break a bar it, make sure everything's tight. So now the bar's all tight, we're going to do the bumper cut. So from the tip, we're going to take a measurement like that, 170. I like to take one from that point, the 265. I'm going to go from the point down, from the tip down. Now we're going to have to cut this 10mm smaller for the rubber. However, I like to get it to fit with pretty much no gap, then remark it, just so you allow for mishaps. Across the back, generally you can measure from the clip down. However, on a 4 and a 5 and pretty much all of them, the top of the sensors is the line. So what I like to do, let's do the back first. So I'll go from there to there and keep coming around. You can measure off the body line if you can't get your tape straight. Things to look out for is to make sure that this is actually clipped in the right in between the clips. You can shut the door, and if you've got a gap, you're in the right spot. It's very easy to be above it or below it, and then you'll mismark it. as I say, the top of the clip hole, top of the sensor holes is pretty much your final cut across the back. So generally I do that in one hit, and then I just double check my sides. As you can see, because we didn't leave a gap, we've got no gap, and then now I just mark that bit. So I normally feel the sides off. Now we want 10 mil. So that will be our final cut. Alright, so now we've clipped the bumper back on. We're happy with all our bumper cut. We've got our rubber on. You can sort of go around and adjust it a little bit. You can slip it down a bit if you need to. We've put our clips back in. So we've got to put our screw in here, clip in here. Our main bumper screw, the coarse threaded 10mm socket critter that was up in there. Mud flap screws back in there. So these are just hanging. So get them all in, and this will literally sit up. We tuck that felt bit on the inside, and that will tuck up in like that. And we're going to put a rivet in there and 2 rivets in there. Also, we've done our reverse feed. We did touch on it earlier. We've tapped it into the second pin in there. Come along here. You can just pull the rubber off and tuck him in. Down there, down there, down there. The clip, which is your tie point one, that outer bit just clips out of it. So you get whoop, out, pull him out, and just pull this trim off to the side. We've snuck through the taillight hole like we were talking about earlier. I've put a little hole in the grommet so it's still insulated and ran it down behind the bumper, ready to do our reverse lights. That's the exact same way you'll route your camera kit if you do that. From there, you can refit your tail lights now. You can drill and rivet your mud flaps. We've put our tow hitch in. So tow hitch in, pin and clip. Done the anti-rattle bolt up and then locked it up with the lock nut. Trailer plugs, they're pre-drilled for a 7-pin flat and for an Anderson. You can re-drill them or change it around if you want to go to something different. However, that's what they're intended for. We've plugged our parking sensors back in underneath, as we showed earlier. So there, now we've got nice, because we move that, so we've got heaps of length now, so everything's all happy. That'll all need to be zip tied up at the end. Next step will be to bolt the latch on and fit the carrier. So our latch is going to go into our slotted holes with our button head bolts. So in like that, hold him. It's a little bit tedious, especially on the plug side. Put your washer up in there and your nut. Leave him loose till our carrier's on. Because they're zinc plated, they're not going to corrode. Ready? Alright. So I'm going to put that on, not let the stopper engage, so we can get him round, him on our gas strap ball, then use the carrier's leverage. Come round and let that drop in. Then line up our slot. There. Put our dust cap in. Is lining up the latch. We want it to be so the weld and everything's inside the hook like that, and central. And you can just put your finger on there, or Des might put his finger on there for me. Now, it should over center like that, have a little bit of spring, and check you got no rattle. If you want a little bit more spring, you can get something round like so in there, and bend that back just a little bit more and it will give it a bit more of a pop. So you want to have that so it's over centering by a bit and then it'll pop open. Beautiful. Alright, so doing our wheel plate, and to slip him in, put our bolts in, we're going to measure the back space of the wheel. So from the mounting flange to the back of the tyre, which you can just measure straight through here. You can literally go up and eye it through there. So we'd be like 165, and then we'll set this one up a little bit less. So you want to be roughly 10-15 mil less so that the tyre is actually going to squish on there. Now, if you're fitting a jerry can, the number plate will be on the jerry can side. This one's single wheel, so we're going to run a number plate bracket. It's going to slide on the studs like so. So now we've got the wheel nuts all done up. Now if you've got a method wheel, you should probably run your method wheel nuts. These will work, which are ours, but you've got to run a thin socket. From there, so number plate bracket, it's got 2 spots depending on offset. This one we can run the whole way in. And obviously we put a plug or terminate that. We're going to run our wire up the arm, P-clip it, zip tie it, whatever takes your fancy, and then we're going to run him out. So we're going to route it like that. It's nice to put a zip tie to underneath the ball because it stops it getting pinched in the stopper. Run him out the wheel somewhere, probably more to the side would be lovely. P-clip him up the back or zip tie him, and then put your plug on it and run it out the tyre. So I'm riveting the bottom, one there in the original holes with the washer, and then I like to put one more rivet up the top with one of our little penny washers inside and out, one of them. It just holds your, it holds this all nice and flat and in line how it should be. So without it, that can all be a bit floppy. It just makes that tidy. So then that's finished. Des is now, we normally zip tie up your, if you're not going to put a spare back underneath, zip tie this up out the way because it'll swing around and rattle. We're just homing, this fella's got air valves. We've tapped this one, it's an original trailer plug loom, we've spliced into it on the underneath. So original trailer plug loom comes out that grommet. You can see here where they've teed together, so original trailer is this one, and then that's our wiring. It's all up, tidy, out the way. So just make sure nothing's hanging down, because if you put your wheel in here, you don't want it to be able to pinch it. Bar that, we're getting very close to being finished. Yeah. Alright, so that's it all completed. So just make sure you've double checked all your bolts, check your lights work like what we just did. Put it in reverse, get someone to walk across the back, check all your sensors are working. They should be just clipped in and just be all happy, exactly like standard. Don't need to glue them or anything on this. If you're only running single carrier, we sell the stub covers, which will finish it off a lot neater than leaving it just a stub. Your mud flaps should be a nice good fit like that. Bar that, that's it.